Hello guys, I welcome you back to our online class on algorithm and flowchart part 2. In the part 2 of our class, we'll be looking at some flowchart symbols and their uses. We'll also learn other uses of flowchart and see how we can use flowchart diagram to represent algorithm and solution to common problems. I still remain your teacher, Justice Bartholomew Obasi. Now, as you can see on the screen, we have some flowchart symbols, their names, and what they are used for. There are many flowchart symbols, but for this class, we'll be looking at only 7 of them. Number 1 on our list is the rhombus. You can see the shape. The rhombus is used for input and output. We have the rectangle. We use the rectangle to depict processing. We have the oval shape. It is used for as the terminator. We have the kite. We use the kite to depict decision. And we have the circle. The circle serves as a connector. And we have this other shape that looks like a rectangle but has double lines on each end. We use it as a predefined process. And we have the arrow. The arrow shows relationship between other shapes in the flowchart. At this point, let us see other uses of flowchart. From our first class, the part 1 of our online class, we saw that we defined a flowchart to be a diagram that can be used to represent algorithm. Now, besides using flowchart to represent and map algorithm, especially during program design and implementation, flowcharts are used for very many other purposes, such as planning new projects, documenting a process, modeling a business process, managing workflow, auditing a process, data management, and so on and so forth. Now, let us see how we can use flowchart diagram to represent algorithm problems. As you can see on the screen, example 1, we say, suppose a programmer needed to get the average of 2 numbers. He or she can write the algorithm as follows. Algorithm to calculate the average of 2 numbers. We have 7 steps. Step 1 is start. Step 2, get the 2 numbers, number 1 and number 2. Step 3, add the 2 numbers. Step 4, divide the sum of the 2 numbers by 2. Step 5, store the result of the division in average. Step 6, print average. And the final step, stop. As you can see on the right hand side of the screen, you see a flowchart to represent the algorithm. Alright, we have another example. This one is a little bit more complex. It says, suppose a programmer needed to determine the wages of part-time teachers in your school. Then the following algorithm reflects the steps he or she would take to do the calculation. As we all know, the normal working hours for a week is 40 hours. A part-time teacher receives 5% of his or her pay rate for each hour worked above the normal working hours. Now we write our algorithm for the preceding part-time teacher's wage problem. That's the title. And also here we have 7 steps. Step 1, start. Step 2, look up the teacher's pay rate. Step 3, determine the number of hours worked during the week. Step 4, hours worked is less than or equal to 40. Multiply the number of hours by the pay rate to get the regular wages. Step 5, if the number of hours worked is greater than 40, still multiply the pay rate by 40 to get the regular wages first. Then multiply 5% of pay rate with the difference between total number of hours worked and 40 to get the overtime wages. Add the total wages and the overtime wages, if any, to get total wages for the week. Then stop. And if you look at the screen, you will see the flowchart that represented the algorithm and how you can solve this problem. We have another example, example 3. In this one, say, suppose a programmer needed to display or print on screen the string of words "programming is fun, 100 times. He or she can write the algorithm as follows. The title first: algorithm to display programming is fun 100 times. We have 6 steps in this case. The first step is start. Second step, display programming is fun. Third step, increase display of the string. Fourth step, determine whether the number of programming is fun displayed is less than 100. If yes, keep displaying until it is 100, but if no, stop displaying, then stop. The flowchart is very close to the algorithm, as you can see. I want you to study it, look at it very well. Alright, now we can summarize what we have learned as follows. We mentioned some common flowchart symbols and their uses. They include the rhombus, the rectangle, the oval, the kite, the circle, the arrows, and the process shape. We also mentioned some of the uses of flowchart to include mapping of computer algorithm, planning new project, documenting a process, modeling a business process, managing workflow, auditing a process, data management, and so on and so forth. Finally, there were examples of flowchart diagrams and how we can use them to correctly represent algorithm and solutions to problems. Alright, we have an assignment for you. Number 1, you draw a flowchart for the following algorithm. The title of the algorithm is algorithm to add 2 integer numbers. I want you to look at it very well, then draw a flowchart so that in our next class you can be able to show us what you can do. And number 2 is you can see the flowchart by the right. It presents the steps involved in going to the market to purchase a pen. I want you to write algorithm for the flowchart. I want to thank you for